The Polynesians. The Polynesians were probably the best explorers in the history of the world. They traveled thousands of kilometers across the Pacific Ocean in large boats called double canoes. They could look at the stars and know which way to go. They also understood the winds and the ocean currents. They made maps of the stars and the ocean currents. They made these maps out of sticks and shells. About 4,000 years ago, a group of people lived in southern China. They were a mixture of white, black, and Mongol people. When the Chinese moved farther and farther into the south, these people needed to find safer homes. Slowly, these people left China in their double canoes and started toward the southeast. They took animals and plants with them. A group of people might arrive at an island and stay there until they had children, grandchildren, and great-grandchildren. Then, a few families might start traveling again. Some canoes went one way and some another. It took hundreds of years for them to reach all of the islands in Polynesia. The double canoe is one of the greatest inventions in history. The Polynesians were among the greatest sailors in history. They understood how to sail by the stars and use the winds and ocean currents. This made them great explorers. A giraffe in Central Asia.
Tamerlane, 1336 to 1405, was a very strong Mongol leader. He and his soldiers fought until Tamerlane became the ruler of all Central Asia. Rulers of other countries wanted to make friends with Tamerlane. It was safer to be friends than enemies. Ambassadors from many countries took gifts to Tamerlane. They took beautiful cloth, jewelry, gold, and silver. They often tried to take something unusual as a gift, too. In 1404, near the end of Tamerlane's life, an Egyptian ambassador arrived in Samarkand. This was where Tamerlane lived. The ambassador and his men traveled on horses and camels. They brought a giraffe from Africa as a gift. Egyptian camels and horses were used to walking in the desert. They did it all the time. A giraffe is not used to the desert. But this giraffe walked 5,000 kilometers from Cairo to Samarkand. We know about the Egyptian ambassador's gift because several people wrote about it. No one wrote that Tamerlane liked it. However, we suppose that he was very pleased to have this strange African animal in Central Asia.
The first woman on Mount Everest. Mount Everest is the highest mountain in the world. It is in the Himalayas between Nepal and China, and it is 8,900 meters high. Sir Edmund Hillary from New Zealand and Tenzing Norgay from Nepal were the first people ever to climb Mount Everest. They climbed it in 1953. Men from several different countries climbed it after that. Junko Tabei, a Japanese from Hokkaido, was the first woman to make this difficult climb. A Tokyo newspaper television company organized the Mount Everest climb in 1975. They chose 15 women from mountaineering clubs to go to Nepal. The group climbed for several days. Then there was an avalanche. The heavy ice and snow injured 10 of the women. They had to stop climbing. The other 5 continued. Only Ms. Tabei was able to climb the last 70 meters. She was standing on top of the world. She was the first woman there. Ms. Tabei was 35 years old at the time. She started climbing mountains in 1960. She still climbs mountains. She is not an ordinary Japanese housewife. Her husband works for Honda Motor Company. He likes to climb mountains too, but he can't get enough vacation from his work to go with his wife all the time. so he stays home to work and take care of the house. In 1992, Ms. Tabé became the first woman to climb the highest mountain on each of the 7 continents. Now, her goal is to climb the highest mountain in every country of the world. To do this, she travels to foreign countries several times a year. Ms. Tabé also helps an organization that is working to protect mountain environments. The Iditarod.
Every year in early March, dogs pull sleds in a race along the Iditarod Trail. This trail is 1,770 kilometers long. It goes from Anchorage to Nome, Alaska. The people who drive the dog teams are called mushers. A musher is an adventurer. Each musher races alone with a team of dogs. Some mushers are women. Susan Butcher is a famous musher. She won the Iditarod race 4 times. Rick Swenson won the race 5 times. Mushers are very brave to go on this adventure. The dogs run across snow and ice, pulling their sleds. Sometimes the mushers ride, and sometimes they walk. In 1991, Rick Swenson led his dogs through heavy snow in a bad storm. It was so dark that no one could see. He fell to his knees and got up again. In 1990, Susan Butcher's dogs got sick. Then they came to a river where there was water on top of ice. They were very lucky that they didn't fall through the thin ice. No one could live in the icy water below. At night, the mushers sleep in tents. In the morning, they can see footprints of wild animals near the camp. Sometimes they have to shoot at the wild animals to make them go away. The Iditarod race is very long, dangerous, and cold. The mushers spend 11 or 12 days running this race. The temperature can go down to minus 46 degrees Celsius. The dogs and the mushers take care of each other during this adventure.
Sailing alone. In 1996, Subaru Takahashi sailed alone across the Pacific Ocean. Many other people did this before Subaru, but he was special. At age 14, he was the youngest person to sail across the Pacific by himself. Subaru left Tokyo on July 22, 1996. His boat was 30 feet, 9 meters long. In the boat, he had a 2-month supply of food and water. He also had a radio and other modern equipment for sailing. The beginning of the trip went very well. Subaru often talked to his parents by radio. He didn't have any problems with his boat. Then, on August 11th, the engine in his boat quit. Suddenly, Subaru was without electricity. This affected his navigation equipment. Then, 5 days later, his radio quit. Now he wasn't able to communicate with anyone. And he was still 2,770 miles, 4,490 kilometers, away from his destination, San Francisco. By the end of August, many people believed that Subaru was lost. No one was able to contact him by radio. His parents expected him to arrive in San Francisco on September 3rd, but he didn't. Then, on September 13th, Subaru sailed into San Francisco. After 55 days in his boat, his trip was finally over. Many people believe that Subaru was too young to sail alone. They say that parents shouldn't allow children to make such dangerous trips. However, other people say that children should have adventures too. What do you think?